To talk about food and make our mouths water. He is here today to speak on something a lot more intriguing than food. Welcome and over to you, Oneal Sabu.
Hi guys, my name is Oneal. I'm carving new horizons by the TEDxMEC team. And it's an honor to be here and to speak to you about a few things that I've done differently from what I see around me. So that's the idea. So let me first talk about things that we all know, which is about food. So what do we know, what do we see, and what we feel and what we perceive about food? All these are subjective. Everybody has their own opinion. Everybody is a food blogger in their own realm. But for me, it's much more beyond what we see, what we perceive. And that's why I've actually stuck to certain beliefs that I believe in, and I hope it works for you as well, because I'm not your motivational speaker. I'm not gonna try to motivate you. This might demotivate you, because if you're doing things that's actually working for you and I give you a different picture, it might demotivate you. But the idea is you'll have more questions at the end of this whole speech of mine. You'll have more questions than answers. I'm not here to provide you answers. I'm here to provide you certain questions that you need to think, you need to actually analyze and maybe put into your life. So that's the idea. So what I've done here is, when we're saying carving new horizons, is for me it's about staying real, staying raw, and staying unprocessed. And the same way, you could too. Everybody is talented in their own way. Everybody's gifted and everybody has their own gifts. So people don't realize it until a certain point. Like, I'm a former lawyer and a restaurateur, and then in between I was a writer as well. I published a book. I'm an author, and right now I'm currently working on a book. So based on that, during the lockdown I did some videos called Lost Recipes, which is basically about forgotten recipes, and that's how I got enough notice. So the first thing that we're dealing with today is this whole point about notice. So I'm comparing it with the 7 deadly sins, and the first of it is greed. So when we come to greed, I'm talking about notice. Now you have content, you have a content with you, and you want it to have notice. You tag people as much as you like. You want attention, but do you want that kind of attention? That's the idea. You want notice. Your content is what you should believe in. If you try to perfect your content and you put more time on your content, see, that's the kind of greed you need to have. So when I analyze greed, and you see a lot of food bloggers, food writers, they tag other people to get notice. Maybe it might help a few people, but it might not help everybody. And it's also annoying, to be honest. When you get so many tags for things you're not related to, you wonder why does this person want to seek my attention? When I'm sitting in a place where I'm doing something about food and somebody else tags me, I don't know that person. Why is he or she tagging me? So it's inconclusive. You don't do things that's inconclusive, because again, this is something that I try to avoid, not tagging too many people. So that's greed for me. Now moving on to the next one, which is sloth. Sloth is, for example, now we all know, we all go to eat out, and we see something and we see what the menu says, what the chef says to us. That's the information that is there on the face. The menu says, mind it too, which is you need to mind what you see on the menu. If you don't apply your brains, your mind, your analysis, your thinking about what the chef is saying. Suppose the chef tells you that, like you have gold in this soup, and then if you're not able to tell that there's actually no gold in it, then it's difficult. You're actually fooling your audience by telling, repeating verbatim what the chef told you or what the management told you about that gold is there in the soup. So that's the idea. You need to analyze. For that, Google is not the place. You can't validate information on Google and Wikipedia, so you need to research. If you don't research, you can't assess. You just make an ass of yourself. That's why I try to avoid that. You do not speak about things you don't know. You need to actually educate yourself as much as possible. Research on what it is, and do not go by face value. If you see something, yeah, I know you need to taste it to believe it, but you also need to analyze why it's delicious. You can't simply say delicious to your audience, or you can't simply say I don't like this. You need to justify why you don't like it or you like it. That's what I try to avoid, which is sloth. To sleep on what you know. You need to always educate yourself, because things are changing. So you need to change accordingly as well. And the next one that I'm talking about is envy. Now, it is a possibility, or it is actually relevant today, because you compare yourself with somebody, some other blogger, some other writer, some other celebrity, Instagrammer, whoever it is. You do not compare your content with theirs, because that's regressive. That's not progress. You don't progress from where you were before. You want to improve from yourself. What you were yesterday, you don't want that to be repeated. You want to improve on what you were yourself yesterday. So that's what I believe in. You compare yourself to what you were before and then improve on it, instead of comparing yourself or your work with others. See, what works for them might not work for you. It's not like that, because I stick to what I do best, and I don't let Instagram analytics to come in my way, to tell me to do things, to please an audience, to do things repeatedly, to encourage monotony. I don't do that. I don't believe in mundanity, to repeatedly do the same thing. So I try to improvise or improve on what content I give my audience. Or you envy your potentials. Believe in your content and work on it. Improve on the same thing and be better than what you were yesterday. That's it. You don't need to be aiming for the Ks, 100Ks, 200Ks, 250Ks. That's not an approval for your content. That's an approval for people who like you, or maybe not even people, maybe bots. No idea. There might be brands who are looking for you and the bots want to find it. So that's the idea about Instagram analytics. If you go working with Instagram analytics, the whole passion drive is lost. You came here for some purpose. You wanted to explore your passions more. You wanted to write more. You wanted to analyze food more. You wanted to think about food. You wanted to actually give a different perspective about food, the one that you know. And then you get influenced. So that's why you do not compare yourself with anybody. Regardless of where the position you are right now, if you were better than yesterday, then you are doing something right. So that's why envy yourself instead of envying others. So the next one that we are talking about is gluttony. Now, gluttony is something that I do not endorse, even otherwise. In terms of being a food writer, I do not endorse gluttony. Mindful eating, that is very important. Now, in terms of what we are analyzing right now, gluttony is when you get cheap thrills and stomach fills by doing content that is repeatedly monotonous and doing the same thing over and over again, because you believe it worked for somebody else, so it's going to work for you as well. Now, that is wrong thinking, because it's the same thing. It's like somebody posted about a shawarma, for example, and you want to post the same thing. You actually forget that before Instagram, before social media, how would you go to a new place? You don't need an invite to go to that place. You hear about a new place. You don't want a blogger to tell you that this place is there and you need to go there. Yes, it's good for visibility in terms of, like, say, you get to know there is a place there. But you would create a drive uninfluenced. You want to create the same kind of drive uninfluenced. So you don't do the same thing. If you want an audience that is not fake, that is appreciative, you give them different things. You don't give them the same thing. If you are comfortable doing just one thing alone, you don't progress. How can you achieve progress yourself as a person individually by doing the same content again? Because you will be good at doing only that thing, and you will have an audience only for that particular thing that you focus on. So you move away and drift away from your passions. If you wanted to be a good food writer, that's not what you should do. You should give a different picture for everything that you do. It's not like, you can talk about one particular thing. For example, if you talk about Kerala food, since I'm from Kerala, we see a lot of food bloggers. That's not the only thing that you can talk about. You can work on other cuisines and you can talk about them too. And that's why, in terms of repeatedly doing the same thing, I actually consider it gluttony, because you are avaricious for more followers and more likes, and your content is driven in that way now. Instead of focusing on your passions, you have drifted away from what you want to do, what makes you happy. So I wouldn't do anything. See, that's the thing, that I would do things that make me happy. Because that's more important. See, this Instagram is a whole rat race. If you're going to compare yourself with people around you and how many Ks they've built in over a small period of time and what's worked for them, and you are taking analysis, you're studying somebody else. Spend that time studying yourself and improving yourself instead of studying what patterns work with others, because that's the same thing. It's monotony. Monotony is for the weak. So you want to strengthen yourself by not comparing yourself with others, but compare yourself with your content that you used to do and how far you've improved. It's good to look back onto your Instagram handles or your Facebook or your YouTube and see how much you have improved with or without the help of technology, but by building your knowledge. So that's gluttony for you. So that's one thing that I avoid. And now the next one.